Hello everyone, my name is Yasir. I'm an English language and IELTS trainer based in Peshawar. I'm also a Cambridge certified examiner. Today I'm going to coach you about the barriers to effective listening. One of our faculty members, Ms. Maruf, had a session with you people on effective listening skills. Today I'm going to talk about what are the barriers to effective listening. So stay tuned and let us discuss turn by turn. The first barrier to effective listening is wool gathering. Now this terminology is a bit new for you people perhaps, but wool gathering when you are physically present but you are mentally wandering somewhere else. During listening to a dialogue, a monologue, we might sometime wool gather. We might be physically present, but we are at times on a mental vacation, and this actually doesn't let us become good listeners. So wool gathering is one of the negative traits. We have to avoid this while listening, while taking a test, while listening to dialogues or monologues. The second barrier to effective listening is daydreaming. Now this is more or less the same thing like wool gathering, but daydreaming is something which is also one of the problems with most of the users of English language. We daydream at times. We daydream because we might be thinking about our future. We daydream because we might be thinking about that I'm going to be one of the successful people after taking the test or something. We might at times daydream and live in a fool's paradise. So this is one of the problems, one of the barriers to becoming a good listener. We need to avoid wool gathering and daydreaming. The third problem, which is also one of the barriers to effective listening, is English reduction, or we can also call it contraction. So what is English reduction and what is contraction? Let me throw some light on it. Basically, English language users, especially the native speakers of English language, use, for example, let's suppose this is a statement: I have got to go to London. So we can simply say this statement, I have got to go to London, but if we were to listen to an English speaking person, the person might say, I gotta go to London, I gotta go to London. Now that is English contraction. And contraction could be one of the problems for various test takers while taking the test. Contraction could be a problem for many listeners of English language. We need to get ourselves used to with understanding English contraction, or we call it English reduction. So instead of listening to I want to, you might listen to I wanna, I have to, I have to, I have got to, I gotta, right? And there are lots of examples which you have to really acquaint yourself with it. The fourth barrier to effective listening is mentally arguing with the speaker. So this is probably one of the problems. Once while I was teaching in Lahore to the O-level students, and there was a trainer who came from the foreign country, and while the foreign trainer who was delivering the lecture, one of my students came up to me and asked me that, sir, I didn't understand anything what you were saying. But despite the fact I knew that my student was one of the good students, it wasn't that she was one of the bad listeners or she had some problems for that matter. But after asking her some questions, I finally came to the conclusion that she had problem with the dress up of the lady who was delivering the lecture. And that is why, while listening to her, she was continuously arguing mentally with her. She was chastising, criticizing her dress up, and that was one of the reasons that my student didn't comprehend her very well. So while listening, you should completely throw your bias aside. Just concentrate on what the speaker has to say and do not mentally argue with the speaker. The next is accent. As you might know that English has got 21 accents, and it might be a big problem for most of the listeners to understand American accent, British accent, Irish accent, Australian accent, Canadian accent, and there are lots of accents that, and especially when it comes to the IELTS test or IELTS exam, you might listen to, in the listening part, you might listen to a variety of accents, maybe 4 accents, maybe 3 accents, and that is why you need to improve upon your English listening skills from multiple perspectives. You have to understand American accent, you have to understand Canadian accent, Australian accent, and that is something which you have to expose yourself to all these accents concurrently. I think that was enough about barriers to effective listening. Now we are going to discuss how to become a good listener.